Hello my friends, welcome to Walking with J.Beau. An almost daily walking vlog. On this very, very beautiful day. Where we have a temperature of 72 degrees. Which is actually now 73. Bright sunshine. I will be doing a selfie view up ahead when I'm away from the traffic. I am walking with a selfie stick today. Sunny, bright Lewiston, Maine. Should be a lot of fun on today's walk. Perfect walking weather. And we've got a lot of things to talk about today, which I will do when we swap the camera around. So we had a nice ammo delivery today. Stocking up on Blamos. Hopefully you can do so as well. Price of ammo right now is very cheap, especially for 9mm. I have not seen 9mm this cheap in quite a while. You can get 1,000 rounds for $220, and some companies offer free shipping or shipping reasonable shipping. So we just got a bunch of Target stuff, 115 grain, 1,200 feet per second, Fiocchi. Or Fiocchi, if you want to pronounce it that way. I say Fiocchi because, you know, Pinocchio. In fact, I wish they were called Finocchios. Which would be like SpaghettiOs, but for people that like to shoot. So we got a few things to talk about today when I flip the camera around somewhere up ahead. All kinds of stuff going on. But until I get up ahead, I will talk about the new camera that is coming. I'm actually getting quite excited about it because 360 is the new professional looking video format. Shoots an MP4, so it's compatible with most editing. And you know, a lot of people talk about, oh, it's in 5.7K. The picture quality's drop dead beautiful. Yeah, well, I'm not going to edit it in 5.7K because, you know, that's like an all-day affair uploading it to YouTube. I'll see, you know, if the file sizes are smaller than they are with the GoPro, and I can get 5.7K, I will definitely edit and upload in 5.7K if iMovie is compatible with that. There is also an app that you can edit these videos with that are distributed by the manufacturer, and if that can do an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of video at 5.7K and then rip it at that so I can upload it to YouTube, then we'll do that. So again, it all comes down to, you know, like some night walks I've shot in 4K. At the end of the day, I'm not converting them to 4K, I'm converting them to 1080p. Especially if you're doing something daily. And even now, when I upload the videos that I'm doing now that you're watching at this moment, unless it's something special like going to the ocean or something like that, I'm uploading at medium quality 1080p, not even at the highest. So it really makes a difference. It makes a difference because I had to watch that car. Somebody backing out of a driveway into a busy street is going to be paying attention to traffic and not people walking, especially when there's no sidewalk. So experience told me to just stop and wait what they were going to do. So I'm always ready to yell at someone too and get their attention, not in an angry way, just so they'll know somebody's there. I've had to do that a couple times, but anyway, that was just experience right there from walking. Just like I'm not looking down in front of me when I'm walking, I'm looking up ahead because I want to see the person mad at me that I'm wearing a MAHA hat, the person that's been drinking, the person that's texting and driving, etc., so on and so forth. Especially right here up ahead, where I wasn't filming, unfortunately. But that would have been nice to have. She got mad at her boyfriend in the car and slammed her brakes on and hit the curb over here. And her skid marks are almost gone now, but they were right here. They came right here and she hit the curb. Probably bent their wheel. But people do all kinds of things. So that new camera is basically going to depend on what I have to do to edit video, how long that will take. I have a 2015 MacBook Pro. It was a $1,700 laptop in 2015. It has a 2 million pixel screen. Everything looks beautiful. But the hard drive, I'm always running out of room on it because there's only 250 gigabytes on the entire drive. And half of that is being used by the operating system. I don't run a whole bunch of stuff on it. And iMovie uses about 14 gigabytes, which is not very much these days. But like I said, I only have about 130 gigabytes left over. So when you go to edit a video and 20 minutes of video on here is 30 gigabytes or 10 gigabytes at 1080p, when you record in 4K, you basically have to use an external hard drive to do editing, which by default runs with a USB plugged into your computer. And if you don't have ultra fast USB ports, you just quadrupled your editing time. It's literally taking 8 hours to convert the video you shot just to get what you want to upload to YouTube. So then you need to upload that to YouTube, which if it's a 20 gigabyte file, which I don't want to do because the space I have on YouTube gets used up, and then YouTube automatically deletes videos at random, and some of my videos I want to keep, and I figured out a way to tell the algorithm not to delete that video if I really like it, by saving it to a separate private playlist of my favorites. It seems to be keeping those and deleting the alternates. And you know, I've said this before, it's very gracious of YouTube to allow somebody to have over 200 videos at any given time that are an hour and a half long. I can't really think of any other host that allows that. So it's really quite something. So I'm not complaining. We'll turn this around now. Hi everybody. So I'm really not complaining about what YouTube has given me for free. But the other thing you'll notice is, and believe me, I'm not asking you for anything. I set up a PayPal me, because I do have a PayPal account. I set up a profile paypal.me page, and I'm linking that in my videos now. For anybody that wants to donate to PayPal to help deal with cost like wear and tear, batteries, getting new cameras, time spent doing this for one thing. And I'm not monetized, so those links are going to be available now in the description if you wish to do anything. So anyway, wow, beautiful day today. So we have a lot of things to talk about today. But that camera is one of them. It's going to be really good. It's going to be a good addition. It's going to be an interesting viewpoint, and because I'll be able to do a lot of things with it. Like, for example, because it records in 360, it records in all directions at one time. That's what that means. So while I'm looking at the camera here, it's also recording behind, above, and behind that way. And you can select what you show because it's a really good picture quality. So while I'm talking to you here, if a moose gets hit up ahead, I'll record it. And then while we're watching, editing this video, I go into the software and I can choose circling around and selecting the image that's out of view right now. So it's like having Hollywood on your computer. That's why I'm concerned with file sizes. And but there are workarounds. One workaround would be not recording my entire walk with it, just segments, smaller pieces to edit. That would save a lot of time. I have yet to see anybody use the 360 camera for an hour and a half to 2 hour videos. So I'm already having in my head that's probably not going to be possible. Or if it is possible, it's going to take you a week to edit. And but with the AI, you can do things like if you're playing back a video, and like you see me on the screen right now, there would be a little green dot on me. You click on that, and you open up a triangle box, rectangle box. So because it's 360, you can make a video segment where the AI will just track me no matter where I go. And you wouldn't see a selfie stick. I would just be walking. And it records from foot, head to toe. So I could select watching me walk from directly straight above. Or if I didn't want to use that angle, I could use the one I'm using now. Or I could select head to toe off to the side while I'm walking, just like I am now talking to you. And that's the beautiful thing with that. You can literally choose a drone setting also. So it looks like there's a drone over your head flying behind you. So there's going to be a lot of new features that I'm going to have to get used to using. But it's going to insert some more excitement, I guess you'd call it. Something more interesting. So, anyway, technology is getting very good. It's getting more affordable also, which is nice. So anyway, I just thought I'd come on and say hi and share that with you. The other thing we have going on today, so I'll flip this around for a minute anyway, is there's a pastor from Africa in South Portland who has overstayed his visa. He started a church. He preaches the word of God. He's a good guy. He's not a bad person. He's not an illegal criminal. But technically he is. All right? Now this is where Trump's policies are going to come under scrutiny, especially with some independent voters who lean left and lefties. Bleeding heart liberals who aren't going to look at that because the pastor was detained by ICE. Now this pastor overstayed his temporary visa 9 years ago. That expired. So for 9 years he's been living here illegally. Okay, so no one is above the law. It applies equally to everyone. So he has to be deported or have a court case, which he has. He's going to get due process. He'll get represented. And he will have his day in court to explain why he overstayed his visa and if there's a way for him to become a citizen. He speaks good English. He loves America. He started a church. He's a man of God. He's a good person. He's got 4 kids. They didn't mention if his kids were minors. They didn't mention in the news article if the kids were grown up, adults, or if they were born here, or if they came with them from Africa. Those are all important things for the media to cover. And I'm assuming they're not minors, because the local media would exploit that. Trump is deporting a pastor that has 4 minor kids. The cruelty of that. So I'm assuming they're grown. This pastor is in his 40s. So I mean, even if they're not grown because of birthright citizenship, which even if the Supreme Court rules on that, which they will be in October, by the way, and that's a whole nother discussion, may as well have it right now, right? So we'll turn this around again. So, birthright citizenship was instilled because of slavery. That was its intended purpose in the 1800s, because they had freed the slaves, and what happened is after these slaves were freed, because they weren't citizens, they were slaves, okay? They weren't citizens of the United States. They didn't have any rights. They were a product. A lot of people think slavery is about racism. It was done because whites hate black people. Nope, it was just a commodity. Free labor, that's all it was. The slaves very well could have been white, from some country we conquered or whatever. Truth of the matter is, most of the black slaves acquired in Africa were acquired by black people. They rounded up these black tribes, stole the people out of them, and these were black slave traders. They sold the slaves to slave traders that brought them to America and other places. You only hear about white people did this. That's not true. That is emphatically not true. You can look it up. It's researchable. In fact, there were many French, okay, French. You had Louisiana, New Orleans, or Norlands as it was called. You had black people that owned nightclubs and plantations. They weren't American citizens. They were French citizens doing business in the United States, and they owned black slaves. Look it up. And it wasn't just a few, it was a lot. It was very common. This was not a racism thing. It was a free labor issue. The South built its power on slave labor. Not having to pay your employees and forcing them to work all day long picking cotton, which the mills up north, the textile industry, had their own form of slaves at the time that nobody talks about either. Child slaves, child labor. Child labor laws had not been passed yet. So you had 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds working in factories doing dangerous work. Things were different then, okay? That's the point I'm making. And it needs to be put into proper context when you discuss it. Had nothing to do with racism. Now, did some white slave owners believe that their slaves were dumb, subhuman, ignorant, stupid people? Yeah, sure. But, you know, it'd be the same way that if you had cattle or horses or pigs on your farm, they were just another animal commodity on their farm. And that's all it was. It was a business thing. So a lot of these slave owners would also have sex with their slaves. Thomas Jefferson did, rumored to have fallen in love with a female who I believe he later set free. And it has been proven recently, genetically, through DNA testing, that there are a couple of black people around today related to Thomas Jefferson. So that's a fact. So that is like somebody on a plantation that owns somebody, and they didn't have laws against that. Now today they have laws against having sex with your property, which is what they were. Okay, so this is really, if you really put everything into the context of the 1800s, you'll see that these people, one, were not citizens. They didn't have rights as a citizen. So you couldn't take a black citizen from Boston and sell them into slavery because they were a citizen. They also don't talk about that, do they? So you have to put things into context. So it was not a racism thing. In fact, the entire Civil War started because the North was trying to get rid of the South's power. So the whole idea of freeing slaves was an idea to bankrupt the South and take away their power politically. Had nothing to do with racism or slavery is wrong. That's the popular opinion in modern times, but that's not what it was if you really read about it. I'm not saying it's right. It's horrible. It affected thousands, perhaps millions of people. It led to a civil war. It led to some states getting statehood just so we could add senators to one-up the Democrats. Because the Democrats would add Missouri to get more power in the Senate in the North. And then the North added Maine to add more senators. So they were having a civil war. And look at turkeys. See how huge they are? Huge! So anyway, what I was saying is the South did not want to have their labor taken away from them, their free labor, because economically it would cripple them, because now they would have to pay people and they would have to do something with these slaves, like not have slaves anymore. So that's when, after the Civil War, it switched to like indentured servitude. You can look up what that is, but basically it's a way to own slaves without owning the slaves, which is what ended up happening. So anyway, with all of that stuff, people ended up finally just having a civil war over it, which nobody thought would last long when it started. They figured after a month, both sides would have a couple of battles, and that would be it. So you can look up Bull Run. They actually had people on the hillside with their wagons having a picnic watching it. They thought it would be interesting to watch a battle because nobody took it seriously yet. And it morphed into a national tragedy, which is usually what happens. So all this stuff I'm telling you is true, absolutely. And I'm going to check on our sunflowers today. We've got some here, late bloomers. We noticed there was a couple of those, they had some bees getting busy on them. So anyway, you know, we have a lot of things that happened in our history, and this is all being discussed right now because of that pastor in South Portland. I don't know who else is discussing it, but that's what it reminded me of. And nobody's above the law. No one. The law should be enforced equally. And people are going to get upset because this guy's a pastor, a man of God, who is doing good work, and he's a good person. He's not a violent criminal. He's got 4 kids. And that is the kind of person I said should deserve citizenship. Now, he needs to do it legally. That's the thing. So, he is going to have due process and a court date, and we'll see what comes of it. And if he deserves to be here, his visa will be extended, and he will be told that he has to become a citizen or you will be deported. And that is the right way to do it. I don't see any turkeys out here today. No turkeys in the straw. We saw them across the road eating grain. Beautiful day today. So anyways, my friends. All right, guys. I'm happy you guys are here with me today. And these are the kind of things in our time where we are currently having a battle for Congress with redistricting. This is exactly what happened when the Civil War started. After about 10 to 20 years of this, we ended up having a civil war. And now that 20 years is expedited very quickly because of technology. We have congressmen that can just go on social media and tell his constituents real time that this is a bunch of bunk. We need to rebuke this. Back in the day, you had to wait until somebody like Ben Franklin ran his printing press, printed the newspaper, got it in the racks, printing them one sheet at a time by hand. And eventually you got the information. Usually secondhand from somebody else that had money that could afford to buy a paper. So information was more difficult to come by. So it took longer. So that 20 years it took then probably would take 5 today, if not less. I mean, look how much everything has transpired since 2020. Between COVID, riots, masking, mandatory vaccines, all kinds of other injustices. So the world is moving very quickly, and it's a lot smaller than it used to be. So anyway, the other update I wanted to give is yesterday on my walk I had mentioned about taking B12 with an injection. I misspoke. I meant to say eyedropper under the tongue, which I actually mentioned after saying that, of B12 under the tongue in liquid form. It's an eyedropper. Don't even know what they're called. You know, you fill it up and put it under your tongue and you eject what's in the eyedropper. So mentally I just said injection because I injected it under my tongue with an eyedropper. So trying to dispel any B12 rumors that people may have. Anyway, Right now, we are still in a severe drought. No rain coming. See that? Wish we would have got a shot of that, besides through the trees. But that was a military transport plane. Brunswick Naval Air Station is about 18 miles from here. It's not, we actually went by it when we went to the ocean. So there is a base here, but they are not a military base anymore. Obama closed it. So we used to have the Brunswick Naval Air Station, BNAS. So then we had the big one up north that we used to launch AWACS from to go spy on Russia. And spy planes. Which has also been closed. Whew, having a good walk today. That's a little chipmunk sitting on a rock making that noise. He's just chittering away. I wanted to see what was making that noise. Now when I hear that again, I'll know. But a little chipmunk. So, yesterday, a woman was killed in New Gloucester. She was walking in the road, on a road much like this, but that was one that had divider lines in the middle, painted, center lines, in New Gloucester on Lewiston Road, and it was at night. It was 8:45 at night, just after it got dark. A month ago, it would have still been light out. So anyway, the vehicle the police said that the man driving the vehicle was not impaired, and apparently there was nothing wrong. And this woman, who was the co-owner of a brewery, 64-year-old woman who owns half of a brewery was walking in the road at night and she got hit by a car, and there was no other cars around. So if you look at a road like this and picture it being nighttime and you can see headlights, how can a woman cross the road like I'm doing now and get hit by a car? How can that happen? The driver was not impaired. So that means that the woman was impaired. I'd find it hard to believe that she wasn't. So I assume they're going to do an autopsy, and I'm assuming she's going to have had a few, because I can't really see otherwise how somebody could just walk into a road at night and not see headlights and get hit by a car. Call me kooky. I'm just guessing. I didn't say her name or anything. I don't want any family members to get upset if by the slimmest chance they actually hear what I just said. It's not defamation. I didn't mention who it was or what brewery. So I'm just going by the article that was written, which a lot of news articles these days really don't have any information in them. We got a pastor who has 4 kids. We don't know if the kids are adults. We don't know if the kids came here with him illegally as well. We don't know if the kids are going to be deported after he has his court date, or what's going to happen. But we don't know if the kids are adults, if they were born here as birthright citizenship. The media, I guess, figures we don't need to know that important information. They could at least write that at the time of writing this, it is unknown the age or status of the children. And it's to the point now where it's blatantly obvious that I think a lot of these articles are just being written by AI. Because there's no information unless it's something that's known. And it sounds very mechanical, robot-like, in my opinion. I'm sure AI is getting used quite a bit. I've even seen people that don't know how to code have actually been coding software, knowing nothing about coding, just getting the code using AI, asking it, how would you code this or code that? Now, I ran into this problem while coding. How do I fix that? And then they get these computer programming replies. So technically, somebody could come up with an app and make $1 billion that doesn't know anything about coding or making an app. Isn't that crazy? That's insane. The world is changing so fast that it's going to be, basically it's going to come down to whoever comes up with AI itself is the ones that's going to be powerful and control things. People like Elon Musk. So, could be very scary. That gets in the wrong hands, boy. It's not a good thing. The Chinese Communist Party is solidly locked into power right now, and citizens will never be able to get it back because of AI. They have facial recognition in China. They keep track of everybody, what they're doing. They have cameras on their homes. If you make the mistake of getting drunk and passing out on the steps of your house, it goes against your social credit score. And if you screw up enough times, you end up in a work camp because you're a subpar citizen as slave labor. That's what they're doing. That's what a social credit score is. I've read stories where somebody in China goes to get on a bus to go to work, and his government issued card to ride the bus doesn't work anymore because he fell too far on the social credit score. So now he has to get a bicycle and go to work. So life progressively gets more difficult as your social credit score drops, until ultimately you are removed from society and are used for slave labor. Slave labor. As I have the app woman in my ear talking while I'm talking, and it confused me. So that's crazy stuff, man, when you think about it, you know? Switch this around here. So, we definitely have some crazy times coming our way. But something like that in the wrong hands, oh boy. That's why people in America got upset when COVID started, when you had some places where the municipality had a sense of humor and people didn't think it was funny, where you would have those warning sirens going off. You know, like it was a post-apocalyptic kind of thing going on, and people, that scared people, and it should. There was one town that was using that movie clip, the audio from it, for the warning siren for The Purge. Remember that? Great movie, by the way. Purge 1, 2, and 3. And I also liked 4. Albeit that was a little excessive, but good movie series I like. So anyway, there was a lot of backlash for that. People were like, why the hell are you playing that? That's not funny. So there's a lot of those things, and I say that because China uses drones to monitor citizens and issue instructions, and they started to do that in New York City and in New Jersey during the pandemic, until there was so much backlash from the public they stopped doing it. It's like, why would they think that the government watching everybody would be okay with Americans? The simple fact that they have that logic to begin with is frightening. I'm going to turn the camera around. Thought I heard another big plane. That's not a plane. It's a big wood chipper somebody's running. It's way in the distance. Well, beautiful day today, as you can see. And I thought that airplane was coming back. It's a wood chipper. So anyway, we had Brunswick Naval Air Station here, which every once in a while, I think it was every 4 years, they would do an air show for free for the public. Now they have an air show that you have to buy tickets for, and they're not cheap. To be on the tarmac, I think it's $150 for a ticket. But we had Brunswick Naval Air Station, and we had Loring Air Force Base in northern Maine, which was one of the nuclear targets of Russia. And so was Brunswick, 18 miles from me. So basically, if we had a nuclear war, I don't think Brunswick is still on the radar for that, but Bath Iron Works is. They work on Aegis destroyers for the Navy, just like the submarine yard in San Diego. So I would be screwed either way, to be honest with you, unless we had time to head up north. And I've talked about this before, but the United States Defense Department had done a nationwide radiation study, and they had determined the safest places to be in the country in the event of nuclear Armageddon. And Maine was one of them. So there was 3 of the safest places in the country. I'm talking about all-out thermonuclear war, okay? You're still going to have fallout and radiation, but I'm talking about places where you would have a chance to survive. Northern Maine is one of them because of the jet stream. And the reason why that's viable is the water in Maine is largely spring-fed from underground bedrock deep below the surface. Fresh water would come up to later be contaminated, if that makes sense. So, and that's a big deal. Water is like primo, right? So the jet stream would be much better for nuclear fallout. Let's say New York City got nuked. Depending on the weather pattern, which 80% of the time, that would drift out to sea, and so would Boston. So a lot of that fallout we wouldn't get here. We'd probably get some from Chicago, but it would be minimal. And the way the jet stream is, if we went to northern Maine, we would have better air, even if Montreal got hit. So that was a study the U.S. Defense Department did. There's actually a PDF download of that. You can search this out. It's been public knowledge since the 80s. I have a hard copy of it at home. And, you know, because I lead such an exciting life. But the other place was Arizona, specifically southwest Arizona, where it is very hot and very dry. The problem you would have there is you would have very little fallout, radiation, but you would have no water. So water would be an issue constantly. So that's a different kind of problem, but as far as surviving radiation, you'd have a shot. The third good place in the country is Oregon into Idaho. And the reason why Oregon would be good is because the jet stream comes off the Pacific. And if Portland, Oregon, for example, got nuked, which it probably would, the jet stream would carry that. The northern part of Idaho would be okay. The southern part of Idaho might not be because it's on the other side of the mountain range in Idaho. Better temperatures too, southern Idaho. But Idaho has a lot of game, like Maine does, deer, animals to hunt. And they are also spring-fed with underground water supplies in Idaho. So Oregon through Idaho would be a good chance. Northern Idaho would be the best. Northern Maine would be the best. Now that would be a tough climate in the wintertime for both of them. But you could survive. You could. Food and water. Find a way to keep warm. But those are the three spots. The worst places to be is anywhere that is in proximity of any large cities. One, because they'll be on a target list. And number two, when the shit hits the fan, people are going to leave the cities, or what's left of them, and they're going to go out into the hills, into the woods, into the Appalachian Mountains. You're going to have thousands of people going to the Appalachian Mountains who have never been there. They don't know how to survive. They'll probably try to kill you and take your stuff. It's definitely not the place you want to go. So these are things you should think about ahead of time. In the event something could happen. Personally myself, if the electromagnetic pulse didn't screw up the solenoids in my vehicle, which they probably would if it was close enough, then I would get in my car, if it would start, and I would head as far north in Maine as I could get. But other people instinctively are going to be on the interstates, the big highways, and they're not going to get anywhere. It's going to be madness and mayhem. You'd have to find your way on back roads, which you can do in Maine. I actually have a paper map of Maine roads. Paper maps, which you really can't buy anymore if you try to find one. Everybody's using GPS, which won't work with an electromagnetic pulse. Your phone won't work. Nothing electronic is going to work. So you're going to be back to a paper map, Bic lighters, an axe, a little saw, a couple of your best firearms, preferably two that use the same caliber, a very common caliber, which I would recommend 9mm. You can find 9mm in any small hole in the wall in the United States, hardware stores, wherever. They'll have it. There won't be anybody working in the store, but I'm saying if you want it, it's available to get. Get what I'm saying? Chances are somebody else will be carrying it also. So you may end up acquiring firearms through your travels. And we have a 19mm socket that is plugged up and rusted. You have no idea how many sockets that I have found on the side of the road. Which is good, because I have a couple of them I found that are difficult to find sizes. Well, not difficult to find, but not very common sizes. How's that? I gotta watch on the traffic here. Car coming up ahead. So we had an ammo delivery today. 1,000-round case of Blamos. Like I said, it's pretty affordable right now. I'm going to turn the camera around. dude walking over there. Probably owns it. Maybe. Beautiful day today. Nice and warm, sunny. Probably about 75 degrees now. We started out the walk, it was 72 and it changed to 73 while I was looking at it. But now it's later in the afternoon. So like I said, we never know what we're going to talk about when we set out on a walk. And now you know. The other thing I wanted to talk about today is Letitia James, who is going to be indicted. She's going to be charged with fraud, violating somebody's constitutional rights, namely Donald Trump, by abusing the law. Her attorney says that this is lawfare being used by Donald Trump as retribution for her prosecuting him. Which is a laugh, because we know why he was prosecuted. So anyway, the other big news today is, remember Judge Engoron in New York, the one that imposed a $500 million fine on Donald Trump and forbid him from running his own company, and also forbid his children from running certain companies. Well, Trump had his appeal, and the decision came down today. The decision came down today. The appellate court overturned everything. Donald Trump's not going to have to pay that excessive fine. And it was ruled by the appellate court that the judge and the prosecutor overstretched their bounds and violated the Constitution. This is an appellate court made up of 4 liberal judges. These liberal judges who value the law and are not interested in lawfare for political reasons, said that under the law, President Trump's rights were violated. He was over-prosecuted, over-punished when found guilty, and the conduct of the trial is under extreme scrutiny. This is everything that President Trump said would happen, because this is what he said they did. And now that ruling came down just today. And the libs are losing their collective fucking shit. No more lawfare. I hope that puts an end to it. It cost them the election. People had sympathy for Donald Trump. People that maybe would not have voted at all because they didn't like Kamala. Maybe they didn't like Trump either, but then they sympathized. Look what they're doing to him. I'm going to vote for him. So there was a lot of that. And I told you guys, I'm not saying it like, you know, like I know something you don't, or I'm smarter. I was telling you guys on this walks, my own opinion, that this all was going to blow up in their face. The Democratic Party is falling in the toilet. They did practice lawfare. They did. Just like there was a Russia collusion hoax, just like everything else that was said is coming true. These people are horrible people. A bunch of godless heathens, in my opinion, and they need to be punished for this. So, Letitia James is going to be punished for mortgage fraud because she broke the law, and nobody is above the law. No one is above the law, they kept saying till they were blue in the damn blue Democratic face. Adam Schiff falsified mortgage loan papers, falsified what his legal address was. Right on the application, it says falsifying information is a felony, punishable by up to 5 years and or a fine. Or whatever it said. I think it was 5 years. It's kind of a misdemeanor felony. So, wouldn't that be funny? The person endlessly talking about Trump being a convicted felon that just had his case overturned ends up being a convicted felon. Does anyone but me see the beauty in that? Seriously? And over here we have paint cans. Some of those have paint in it, but this one's empty, and it has a good lid. These other ones here are kind of rusted. Garbage men, they're not going to take paint. They're not going to take that. It's surprised anybody put that out and thought they would take it. They don't know what kind of paint. If it's oil-based, it's toxic, it's flammable. So I am going to take this can for shoot cycling. I'll take the lid off it, fill it with water, and it'll put on a good show. And we'll get another paint can as well. So anyway, the hunters have now become the prey with Letitia James, who still maintains that she did nothing wrong. And probably in her twisted mind, she probably feels she did nothing wrong and she was justified because Trump's a dictator. Just like that Rhode Island Attorney General we saw get arrested, proclaiming, I'm an AG, but I'm an AG, you can't arrest me. And the officer said, I quote, well, that's nice. I don't give a shit, he said. And he put handcuffs on her. And she broke the law. And a lot of these liberal prosecutors feel empowered. They feel like they're above the law. And they tell everybody else no one is above the law. But we're so far above it, it doesn't even apply to us to even have this discussion, according to them. So, and we saw that mentality. Liberals have that mentality. As part of their character makeup, they like to be authoritarian. They like to be in charge and have authority. We saw that during the COVID pandemic. 22-year-old flight servants on planes, people working on planes, they were given the authority to kick people off the plane if they weren't abiding by COVID restrictions. And they did that. There's so much video online, and you can see it. They're enjoying it. They're enjoying the power they have. They basically have a mid-tier job. They're getting paid a certain amount of money. They're not in charge of anybody. They're not even a supervisor. And then they're given the power to eject MAGA hat wearing motherfuckers off the plane. Oh yeah, this is great. We're gonna kick them all off the plane. MAGA people are racist, so I'm not doing anything wrong. And that's the problem we have. And it's division sewed in by politicians. Like this crazy woman who made several posts on social media. She was arrested yesterday, day before yesterday. She made about 6 death threats on social media that she was going to willingly sacrifice herself to take care of Trump. And you know what I mean by take care of. I don't want to upset the algorithm. She wanted to assassinate Donald Trump. I can't use the K word. So she said she was going to willingly sacrifice herself for the betterment of society, knowing that she would either be arrested or ended for doing it, while doing it. And not only did she say that, she contacted six FBI offices nationwide in different states to tell them that. So 50-year-old woman, white, liberal female, was arrested, and she's being charged with criminally threatening to assassinate a political figure, which is a bigger crime than just criminally threatening someone else. Not that that would be good either, but you know, President of the United States isn't just going to get a restraining order and call it good. I mean, you got to protect the president. She's going to go to jail. So, because if she gets out, I'm sure nothing there cured her brain, and she'll be a problem. Now, how many of these other people are the ones I worried about that are saying things like that to themselves and not anyone else, and they're in the process of planning something? How long before somebody is upset that they lost their job with the government, even though they got a severance package and retirement bennies? They're upset. That a-hole took my job. Gotta get him back. And then I'm gonna get him back because I'm gonna get one of his kids. I'm gonna make him suffer through some pain. Getting rid of Trump would be too good for him. We'll get rid of one of his kids. Now, obviously, that's not me saying that. So don't anybody take this clip and make it go viral. I'm wearing a MAGA hat, proudly, I should add. I'm just saying that's the thinking of these liberals. They're sick. They're sick people. They're very angry, vindictive. I think the #1 character trait among white liberals, mainly. But it probably applies to a lot of other ones. I don't want to seem racist by singling out white people, but their #1 character trait is vindictiveness. Gotta get you back. You gotta pay for what you've done. Combine that with, I want what's coming to me for free. And you have the current nightmare we have been seeing. So, anyways, I'm going to turn the camera around I just wanted to yak at you. I hope nothing bad happens to anybody. This has actually been here for a while, but that is one of those orange syringe caps that somebody threw while driving by. You've seen me pick up syringes here before. And some of these people have the same spots where they feel safe to pull over and throw. Thought my battery went kaput, which it was about to anyway. But what actually happened was I ran out of memory card because I had yesterday's walk on here. That's all that was. So anyway, these liberals are mean, angry, nasty, vindictive people that if they are a boss and you have a MAGA hat, they will fire you and not tell you it's because of the hat. They will fire you because the current laws are anybody can be fired for any reason as long as it's not discrimination or some kind of injustice like that. That's up to the interpretation of the person that owns the business. Well, this person is just not a fit with what I'm trying to do. You don't have to say why. So and a vine hanging on for a ride on my ankle. So anyway, everybody, keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a damn swivel. These people will come up behind you, smack you in the head with a brick. They have stoked up all the minorities into believing that the hat I'm wearing right now makes you a white supremacist and a racist. So it's okay to hit me in the head with a brick or run me over with a car or whatever else they're gonna do. So shoot cycling. We have a shoot cycling jug. So I'm going to turn the camera around because this is such a beautiful day. It really is. I'll hit the camera shaft here with the paint can. So I can imagine a paint can is going to go up pretty good filled with water, shot with something like a 30-30 or a 223 pointed soft point or a 7.62 by 39 pointed soft point. These are going to go up good. Now I was going to stop and take that laundry jug out of the recycling bin that they put out, but they were sitting on the porch. I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. What a beautiful day. Goodness. Warmer than it was yesterday. More humidity. I'm actually sweating pretty good right now. It's about 75. See a little bit of haze on the hillside, so humidity's gone up a bit. Next couple of days are going to be the mid-80s. It's going to be warm. And then later next week, it's going to be back to feeling about 72 to 75. It's still going to be nice. We'll be wrapping this walk up ahead here after we turn the corner a little ways. So unfortunately, my friends, we're going to have to deal with some very malicious lunatics. Yeah, so that big, giant New York City case, Donald Trump falsifying business records, being convicted of all those felonies, $500 million fine, got overturned. Glory, hallelujah. President Trump said we're going to have so much winning, we're going to be begging him to stop. Please, President Trump, stop winning. We cannot take it any longer. Hello.
Hi.
She had that look on her face like he's wearing a friggin' MAGA hat. She looked like your typical liberal old lady here. I'm sure she was tickled pink. Well, I'll turn the camera around. And I'm going to say, first of all, we have a lot of stuff we're going to be seeing with the legal stuff. We're going to have Congress coming back within the next 2 weeks. And James Comer, committee head Republican, subpoenaed a whole bunch of people to testify about Epstein. And we're going to get to the bottom of the Trump-Epstein thing. And this is only a thing happening because 20% of MAGA decided to lose their crap, and the Democrats thought they had something they could use against Trump, brought about by his own base. That basically sums up everything that's going on. And this is the same 20% of the base who lost their shit when he bombed Iran, even though he said at every campaign rally that Iran is not going to have nuclear weapons. I don't know if this 20% of Trump's base that claimed to be MAGA thought that he was just going to offer a warm box of muffins with a note asking nicely to just stop making nuclear weapons, and that would work with the Ayatollah. Or if they just thought Trump was just saying what he needed to get elected. I don't know what they were thinking. But they lost their shit over that. They lost their shit over Epstein. They lost their shit over H-1B visas. They lost their shit over Trump saying we need some people out in the fields to pick the produce, or else you'll be paying $12 for a fucking bag of apples. So you got a lot of these hardline, far-right extremists in the MAGA party. I'm guessing about 20% of MAGA, who need to cut the shit, okay? Settle down and understand that just because we won, now you can't tell Trump what to do like he's your personal puppet. Trump's going to be Trump. Is he going to do everything you agree with? No. Is he going to do an awful lot you will agree with? Yes. He has to be a president of all the people, not just 20% of MAGA, okay? So if that's your mentality, you're in the wrong party. You're in the wrong place. You need to become a libertarian or some other thing. We're the party of common sense. So what you're doing is not common sense. You're knee-jerk reacting to everything to make a ruckus on the internet, which I think it comes down to a lot of these influencers just want to make a buck. And they're actually using MAGA and Donald Trump. But anyway, we're going to have these files that were demanded by Congress from the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice has to comply, but names are going to have to be redacted of victims, and the Democrats are going to put on their own little horse and pony show about that, saying they're covering up for Trump. They redacted his information. How do we know they didn't? Because we didn't see the stuff unredacted. The Democrats want to see everything unredacted, and they swear and they promise that it will be kept confidential and not released to the media. Bullshit. We know what they're going to do with it. They're going to weaponize it. It says Donald Trump 6 times, where it probably says Donald Trump because Epstein flew his kids as a favor to New Jersey 3 or 4 flights, which he did as a favor while Trump's plane was getting renovated. So I just thought that was really funny. So anyway, they're going to politicize everything like they usually do. And so that'll be a new circus to watch coming up in a couple of weeks. And we'll see what happens with that, right? Should be interesting. So we'll see what we shall see. It's going to get interesting, I can tell you that much. We're going to have Letitia James is going to be officially indicted, which I believe she has been or will be. I haven't really kept up on that too much. I've been too busy winning elsewhere. And we're also going to have that congresswoman that was indicted for obstructing ICE. I think we also have a mayor that may be charged. So we got a lot of stuff going on. And I want to see former CIA Director Brennan indicted. I think that'll be coming soon. And there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. And it's all going to happen fast. Fast. So anyways, my friends, click like and subscribe. Share the content. And God bless you and your family. God bless President Trump. Say a prayer for Trump and the country. And pray that we have some justice equally under the law for everybody. And that this lawfare stuff ends permanently. So I would think people, I don't know, I'd like to think some people were smart enough to learn their lesson, but you listened to Letitia James yesterday. She's arrogant as this has not made a dent. So unfortunately, we're going to have to make an example of these people that truly no one is above the law. And you can't infringe on the rights of somebody else. Now this is the kind of thing that's illegal. Right here. See that? That is a pile of asphalt. And that is another pile of asphalt that somebody illegally dumped here. But on the other hand, how else are you going to get rid of it? The city makes you take it to the dump and they make you pay to get rid of it. So you can't really blame somebody for dumping something in a pile of pussy willows that someday is going to get developed with a store put on it or something, and it's going to get dug up anyway. But anyways, thank you very much for walking with me. We'll see you on the next walk. God bless you and your family, and stay safe, everybody. Keep your head on a swivel and keep shoot cycling. See you soon, everybody. Bye-bye now.